Hello friends! Today I wanted to make a short and sweet video about what I've been up to because I haven't been posting much. I used to make those kind of monthly vlogs and recap videos which I really enjoyed, and so this is a bit going back to that. In April, I've been in the pottery studio. I had my Dungeon and Dragon campaign. I've been eating good food, going on hikes. I went to Bilbao on a trip. I've been reading. I've been doing a bunch of exciting stuff. And so you can see a little bit of all that in this video. While you enjoy some of the footage I shot during the month of April, I just thought I would give you a little reading update. So by the end of April, I had read 24 books and counted 5 DNF. It might have been a bit more than that. I don't always record my DNFs, especially if they're from library books or audiobooks. Of those 24 books, only 2 were in French and all of the rest was in English. And also only 5 were non-fiction, which isn't ideal because I would like to be going back to reading a little bit more non-fiction. Half of my reads used to be non-fiction, so that has declined quite a bit recently and I would like to change that. In terms of books that I really enjoyed or that have stayed with me, a few come to mind. I'm thinking of Intimacies by Kitamura, which is a book I buddy read with my friend Caitlin over at Spiel the Reads. This is a story of an interpreter working at a international criminal court in The Hague. She recently moved there and she's feeling a bit unmoored. She's struggling to find a place in the city and to build relationships. This was such an interesting read. I can't say it was really enjoyable in the process of reading it, but I spent so much time thinking about it afterwards and I'm really curious to read more from this author. So I did really had an interesting time with this one. Another book that comes to mind is Perfection by Vincenzo Latronico. This was a recommendation from Kate on the Kately channel. She is a translator from Korean and she always has very interesting book recommendations. This one doesn't really have a plot. It's very literary. It's a short novel about a millennial couple and you will find all the cliches about millennials if you're a millennial yourself like I am. It stings a little bit because you see some aspect of the caricature that you might adhere to. But what I really liked about this book was, despite this uncomfortable mirror that it shows you, it was still displaying some degree of tenderness for the characters, and so I did like this kind of ambivalence and this nuance in the writing. Another book I really appreciated was Soft Tissue Damage by Whitwham. This is a memoir about grief and boxing. It's a bit of a surprising combination, but I did really enjoy it. I took up boxing as well for a few months and really enjoyed it. I wish I could have continued, but it didn't turn out that way, unfortunately. And I was not allowed to film, so it's not featured in this little vlog. But the book was really powerful. It was the story of Anna taking up boxing as a way, I think, to channel the grief and the pain from losing her mother. She ended up doing 2 fights, of which one she won and one she lost. And it is kind of the story of how she got into boxing, how she trained, how she prepared for those fights, the different relationships. And yeah, I thought it was a really interesting read and brilliantly done. I also read The Circle by Dave Eggers. This is the story of a main character who starts working for a big company, kind of a Google on steroid. It was quite unsettling. I think when it came out over 10 years ago, people said that it was kind of over the top, a bit of a caricature, and I think it still is to a degree, definitely less so. I think the unsettling bit is how closer to reality it feels now, and that was a bit scary. Yeah, it was really interesting to read and really cool. I read this for the philosophical book club hosted by Jared Henderson and really appreciated the conversation happening over on his Substack. And then the final book I really enjoyed was The Will of the Many by James Islington. This is a fantasy novel inspired from the Roman Empire, and the magic system is built on will being seeded from people in the lower classes of society up to people higher up in the hierarchy. It's a very interesting magic system, kind of MLM for fantasy, if you will. The book isn't perfect. There were some aspects that felt a bit too convenient, for example, or some relationships I wish were developed a bit more. But overall, this was very entertaining, and I read this for my local SFF book club, and we had so much to talk about. We were all very invested. We all had kind of theories and things to discuss, and yeah, I thought that was actually a great book club book. I'll leave you with some footage from my trip to Bilbao in the north of Spain, which was delightful. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye!